So I went to see Barbarian last night, and this was ostensibly a blind watch. I knew next to nothing about this movie other than what is in the trailer, and what is in the trailer is basically what is in the synopsis on IMDb and Letterboxd. It doesn't really tell you much, and I didn't really think the trailer looked like anything special, but the way that the horror community on social media and through word of mouth has blown up about this movie, and the way that everyone was buzzing about this really brought it to my attention and put it on my radar, and I went to check it out basically as blind as possible outside of the original trailer, which, like I said, doesn't show you much. And wow, Barbarian is probably the most unpredictable film in recent memory for me. And as a result, I'm going to keep things very vague here. This is not a spoiler review, and I wouldn't dream of spoiling this movie for anyone because half the experience of it is just watching it. There's a point in this movie where we hit a crescendo and then the film switches gears, and some girl in the audience loudly proclaimed, "What the fuck is going on?" much to the rest of the audience's laughter. But it was because we were all in the same boat. This is a very what the fuck is going on film, and I mean that in a very positive light. Directed by Zach Kreger of the Whitest Kids You Know fame.
Rewind and play 5 minutes though, because that fat piece of shit was talking. I couldn't pay attention to what you guys was doing. So rewind and play 5 minutes. And you shut the fuck up.
Yes, that Zach Kreger. Barbarian stars Georgina Campbell as Tess, a young woman who arrives late to her Airbnb rental while out of town on a job interview, only to discover it's double booked, and there's a strange man, played by Bill Skarsgård, staying there already, and against her better judgment, she goes inside, she ends up staying the night, and discovers an unexpected house of horrors inside. The word unexpected is the best way to describe this movie. It is very difficult to predict the turns that Barbarian takes, and Zach Kreger is kind of a madman for it, and I love it. This movie is extremely... I want to be careful about what I'm about to say, because I'm going to say that this movie is extremely a cure for wellness, but not in terms of scale, and certainly not in terms of budget. But that is exactly why this is great, because this is a very unconventional movie, made on a pretty low budget to my knowledge, and it manages to completely toy with audiences' expectations and drag them along for its ride the whole time, myself included. And it was such a wild, constantly shifting experience that when the movie finally cut to credits, I was like, I needed several minutes to collect my thoughts. Honestly, it's the way that this movie plays with audience expectations that made it so incredible and such a fun time to watch. Barbarian is essentially 3 interconnected films rolled into one long story. It's not an anthology, but what it is a series of interconnected events that play out asynchronously in such a way that challenges virtually every preconceived notion you could ever have about the situation you're going into and about the people that you're watching. Nothing is as it seems here, but that does not stop the film from doing everything in its power to make you look in every direction but the obvious. You think you know where it's going. I promise you, you don't. The first act of this film, before the initial aforementioned gear shift that I referred to, is quite possibly one of the most masterful exercises in tension I've witnessed in a very long time. Here's your scenario. You've got a woman showing up in the pouring rain to her Airbnb rental late at night in a very dark neighborhood where basically the only illumination is coming from the porch of the house she's renting. There is no key in the lockbox, and a strange man answers the door, claiming he is renting the place, and he has ID and he has email confirmation, and she's in this house alone at night with a stranger and nowhere to really go. So already, just an incredibly tense scenario. You're on edge from the jump. And from that opening scene, Kreger does an amazing job at building unease and making you question where the danger is going to come from, because there's a lot of things about this situation that are not the safest, but there aren't really many other options, and every time something seems like it might be sus, it turns out not to be, and things are still okay, and so you're still on guard and waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every single detail is so meticulous. Every shot is framed and placed in such a way to draw your attention to that detail. A great non-spoiler example is a recurring edit of a character locking a door, making sure to highlight the edit of locking the door every time. It's highlighted in such a way that the moment this character does not lock the door, it pings in your brain and you're like, oh shit. Your anxiety spikes. You know danger is going to come from somewhere, but you have no idea where, because every time you think you know where it's going, it shifts and plays with your expectations. The resulting atmosphere is one of impending dread, and it makes you want to cover your eyes and your face and not see whatever the characters are looking to see, and I love that. I love that experience. It is rare that a horror movie gives me genuine anxiety, and this was one of them. And then we get to the point in the movie where the girl in the audience said, what the fuck is going on? And we're introduced to Justin Long's character, who is in this movie, and who I genuinely have never hated before, and it felt wrong. That was a new experience. Good lord, Justin Long's character is a lot, and I don't want to say why. And he challenges the viewers to root for somebody who is ultimately insufferable and an awful person. And the way that the film plays with that questionable morality before ultimately revealing the punchline / thematic core of the film, it's not going to be for everyone, but if you can get what this movie is going for, I think you're going to really vibe with it. It's when that gear shift happens that I think is going to be the determining factor of whether or not a lot of people enjoy this movie. It invests you in such a way that has your heart pounding for that whole first act, and then right at the crescendo, it stops and changes things up on you in a way that is almost blindsiding and definitely a tonal shift. And it's almost off-putting, but if you're willing to stick with it, it does circle back around in a meaningful way, and that is great. On top of that, the title does have relevance. I am very curious to know what you guys think the relevance is. I have my own opinion, but I'll save it if I do spoiler talk either on here or on like audio format. Regardless, there's a level of ambition to this movie that shocks me, and in a very good way. Not only is it a really, really well-crafted horror thriller from a member of the Whitest Kids You Know, of all things, but it's also one of the most mind-bending and expectation-defying, inventive Hollywood horror movies in recent memory, and it's the kind of thing that I want to see get a lot more funding. It's just this crazy, depraved, inventive film full of gross content and humor and douchebaggery beyond belief, and it is a very, very good film that has more to say than you realize. My biggest critique would be that I wonder if this movie holds up on rewatches, because half of the fun that I had was just being down for the crazy gonzo ride it was putting me on. If it can replicate that experience on multiple rewatches, this shit is going to be a cult classic. What on earth? I can't even fathom that this is the dude who gave us this.
Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up!
I'm excited to see more from Zach Kreger. Apparently he wants to do more weird transgressive horror, and I'm down. I'm down for more inventive shit. Whatever it takes to get more original content out there, I am here. I'm sold. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Sound off below if you've seen Barbarian. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on the title. And as always, stay tuned. Spooky season is coming up, and we've got a lot to talk about. So I'll see you soon.